the dignitaries to come onto the dais. You can Professor R. Tandavan, Justice Srimati Prabha Sridevan, Professor Kalyan Arun, Professor Krishnamurthy Srinivas, a gentle reminder, I request all of you to switch off your mobiles or put them on silent mode. We will now commence the ceremony on an auspicious note. So now I request Srimati Purna Suraj to render an invocatory song.
मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कारचित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायुः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायुः न वा सप्तधातुर्न वा पञ्चकोशा न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्थपायुः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे द्वेषरागौ न वे लोभमोहौ नो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभाव न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्ष चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञ अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे मृत्युशङ्का न मे जातिभेद पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्य चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुत्वाच्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न चासङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेय चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्
I now request Suraj to provide the welcome speech.
Distinguished dignitaries on the dais and the intelligent audience of Chennai, a very good evening to one and all. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all for a defining moment for the book launch of Do You Really Die? I would say it's a masterpiece authored by Shri T.S. Vishwanathan. Two people are directly affiliated, rather two dignitaries are directly affiliated to the book. Dr. Krishnamurthy Srinivas, a leading neurologist and chairman emeritus of VHS, Professor Tandavan, the former vice chancellor of the Madras University. Adding to this are two more intellectual people, apart from the other two intellectuals, Justice Srimati Prabhashri Devan, the former judge of the Madras High Court and a reputed personality of our Chennai society, and Professor Kalyan Arun, the director of the prestigious Asian College of Journalism. So we are duty bound to join our hands together to welcome these dignitaries who I would say have 300 plus years of accumulated wisdom packed in the physical form sitting before us to give their inputs and interpretation of the fantastic book written by Shri T.S. Vishwanathan. So I request all of you to please put your hands together for this wonderful panelists. I think with these words, I will welcome this fantastic audience, and please enjoy the book which is going to be discussed and dwelled into by all these panelists for this evening. Thank you once again.
The book titled Do You Really Die? Will now be released by Justice Srimati Prabhashri Devan. Justice Srimati Prabhashri Devan will now hand over the copy to Mr. Ramaswamy, Director, Bharati Vidya Bhavan. Justice Srimati Prabhashri Devan will now hand over the copy to Mr. J. Raman from Multivista. I now take the privilege to introduce the dignitaries on the stage. Justice Srimati Prabhashri Devan was born, brought up, and educated in Chennai. She took her basic degree in English literature. After a 13-year gap, she went to law school. She practiced law till she was made a judge of the Madras High Court in 2000. The economic value of the homemaker's work in Deepika's case, freedom of speech in the Da Vinci Code case, rights of the mentally ill in Natalie's case are some of the subjects dealt by her. She retired in 2010. She was the chairman of the Intellectual Property Appellate Board from 2011 to 2013. The Yahoo patent, the Nexaver compulsory license are among the cases decided by her during this period. She writes regularly in English and Tamil on issues of law and life. She has translated a collection of short stories by R. Chudamani titled Seeing in the Dark. She has recently been asked to head the think tank to frame India's IPR policy. Justice Srimati Prabhadevan will now be honored by Mrs. Gayatri Viswanathan. I now request Justice Srimati Prabha Sridevan to say a few words.
Good evening. Dr. Krishnamurti Srinivas, Sri R. Tandavan, Vice Chancellor, University of Madras, Sri Kalyan Arun, Professor, Asian College of Journalism, the author of the book, Mr. T.S. Viswanathan, his family and friends, and distinguished invitees. I'm really honored to have been asked to release this very interesting book. Do you really die? I don't think we like to die. We want to be here forever in some form or the other. We are, one, afraid of dying, and two, it's an unknown, and therefore we'd rather stick with the known. We are also deep in admiration of Chiranjeevis like Sri Anjaneya and Prahlada, and Markandeya. But the flip side is Ashwatthama was also a Chiranjeevi. So it may not be pleasant to live forever. But it is a question that has haunted the thinkers for thousands of years. And the author happily tells us that we do not really die, and that we continue in some form or the other. Interestingly, yesterday, I very rarely watch TV, but sometimes you feel that there is a pattern in our lives. And when I switched it on, I saw a program, I don't know the title, but the speaker was the fantastic actor Morgan Freeman. And the documentary or film or whatever it is, it showed us that there are attempts to transfer our thoughts into a robotic, it looks like a head without a body. That's what it looked like. And it talked to Morgan, and it said that the voice said, "I am Beena." And then Beena came, the real Beena came. So the attempt, I think, is to make our thoughts permanent by transferring them, I don't know in whatever way, so that in some ways we don't really die. The book, when you read the book, you can see that the author has extensively read the works of scientists across the world, and the story of Karmapa at page 112 is very interesting. It is about the second highest master in Tibetan Buddhism, and enlightened Tibetan masters, I believe, say that their bodies, that they stay in their bodies for 3 days after death. And so the 16th Karmapa died in 1981 in a hospital in Chicago. He stayed 3 days after his death with his soul in the body. The heart region was warm, it says. And we have heard of Shankara Bhagavatpada, who left his body and did not really die, and the Shishya took care of him. Only thing is, we don't have any empirical study of that, whereas the Karmapa, since he died only, or died or whatever it is, he transformed only in 1981. There is proof where I think Indian theory and study, I would like to use the word fails, because there are no recorded data, and today science and study demand proof, and it's not enough for us to say that was so. But the author has, as far as the Indian thinkers are concerned, only that was so. For that, he can't help it. But the conclusion may be that we too thought like that. There must have been some basis for thinking like that. So that is probably as close to proof that we had then. It is not just Indians. Many of the you see, most of our language is borrowed from the West, and not just English. You see, our language is determined by the way we think, and I think because we learnt English, we also think in that language, and therefore we are called, the Mayan civilization is, they are not called civilized. They are called tribes or pre-civilized times, as though civilization itself dawned only after the Western world came. But if you see the knowledge of those people, we realize that they knew much more than we possibly do today. The author talks about the shamans of the Indonesian tribe, the Mayans, the Egyptians, all of whom really studied about what happens to us after we die. We die in the physical form. Recently, I had the honor of releasing a book written by a girl of autism. Her name is Aishwarya, and at that function, a Professor Jayachandran spoke. He has, I think, a school for children of autism, and even before people have understood autism, I think he has been having a school. And he shared with us ஒரு புல்லரிக்கிற விஷயம், எனக்கு அது இங்கிலீஷில் சொல்ல தெரியல. அவர் வந்து அந்த குழந்தைகளையும் அவங்க பெற்றோர்களையும் பஸ்ஸில் கூட்டிகிட்டு காஞ்சிபுரம் போகிறார் 1969. அப்போது வந்து காஞ்சிபுரத்தில் வந்து மடத்து வாசலில் அவர் காத்துட்டு இருக்கார். உடனே தரிசனம் கிடைக்கல. இந்த குழந்தைகள் வந்து சீக்கிரமாக ரெஸ்ட்லெஸ் ஆகிடும். Ambika knows, Ambika I think has taken her grandchild outside. They become restless. So அவர் என்ன பண்ணுறார், திரும்பி போயிடலாம், தரிசனம் கிடைக்கல, நம்ம போயிடலான்னு சொல்லிட்டு கிளம்பி போகிறார். அப்போது பெரியவா comes out and says, நில்லுங்கோ அப்படின்னு சொல்லி உள்ள சிப்பந்திகளை அழைச்சிட்டு வந்து பிரசாதம் எடுத்துன்னு வந்து ஒவ்வொரு குழந்தைக்கும் அந்த குழந்தையோட பெற்றோர்களுக்கும் கொடுக்க சொல்கிறார். அப்போ அவர் சொன்னாராம், these children நம்ம மாதிரி இல்லை. They are they are people who were in astral form who took this body and they choose their parents ன்னு சொன்னாராம் பெரியவா. ஸோ அதை வந்து ப்ரொஃபஸர் ஜெயச்சந்திரன் எங்களோட ஷேர் பண்ணிட்டு he said that அதனால் நான் ஒவ்வொரு அகாடமிக் இயரும் ஐ பிலீவ் சுவாமிகள் இன்னும் சொன்னாராம் அந்த மாதிரி டீச்சர்ஸையும் த சில்ட்ரன் themselves choose. ஸோ இந்த டீச்சர்ஸ்க்கு எவ்ரி அகாடமிக் இயரில் ஐ வில் ஷேர் திஸ் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ். அப்போ 1969 அவர் என்ன சொன்னாரோ அதுன்னு. அப்போது ஆஸ்ட்ரல் ஃபார்மில் ஒருத்தர் இருக்க முடியும்னாக்க இந்த பாடியோட அழிவு தான், நம்ம அழியலை, விச் இஸ் வாட் த ஆத்தர் இஸ் ட்ரைங் டு டெல் அஸ். அப்புறம் இந்த ருத்ர கிரந்தி, பிரம்ம கிரந்தி, விஷ்ணு கிரந்தி எல்லாம் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுறார். பட் அதை எப்படி இன்னித்து சயின்ஸில் அதை டேலி பண்ண முடியும்னு சார் அவர் பார்க்கல, அதை டேலி பண்ண முடியலை, இல்லை நமக்கு தெரியலை, இனிமேல் தெரியணும். அப்புறம் of course the brilliant passage from Kathopanishad. அது வந்து டெத்தை பற்றி பேசுகிற யாருமே நச்சிகேதஸை பற்றி பேசாமல் இருக்க முடியாது. நமக்கு எவ்வளோ வயசானாலும் அந்த குழந்தை என்ன சொல்கிறதோ அதை நம்ம கேட்டே ஆனோம். எப்படி அப்படி how did he transcend fear and everything else that ties us down to this life to ask questions of his father and to go seeking answers ங்கிறது, I mean even if it is just a fantasy of somebody, if it is sheer imagination, that imagination is breathtaking. அதை பற்றி ரொம்ப ரொம்ப ரன்னா he has written. Then this Dr. Stevenson's study of incarnation, அதுதான் அந்த ஸ்வீட் somebody இல்லை. There is this girl, young girl, whom he calls sweet. And this Dr. Stevenson studies many persons. It's a case study to show that people really remember what happened before they took this form, which means it's really a continuum. Life ங்கிறது it's really a continuum. There is no interruption there. The interruption is only to the form, but not the life and the thoughts and whatever. சுஷும்னா நாடி அந்த மாதிரி அதை பற்றியெல்லாம் இட்ஸ் ரியலி வெரி வெரி இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங். எப்படி சோல் ஹவ் இட் மூவ்ஸ் upwards from the heart region to the brain region and where it reaches truth அப்படின்னு he talks about it. And இங்கேயும் I want to talk about one of the child of autism. அந்த குழந்தை பேர் எனக்கு ஞாபகம் இல்லை. ஐ பிலீவ் யாரோ வந்திருந்த போது படார்னு he hit him and the people ஏன் அடிக்கிறேன்னு கேட்டாக்கா the child answered, சுஷும்னா நாடி கொஞ்சம் மந்தமாக இருக்கிறதுனால அடித்தேன் அப்படின்னு. ஸோ நமக்கு நிஜமாகவே நம்ம நாலேஜ் இஸ் ரியலி கட்டுறது இவ்வளோதான், அவ்வளோ கூட இருக்கோ கற்றுக்கோமான்னு நமக்கு தெரியலை. வாட் வி ஹேவ் லேர்ன்ட் இஸ் ரியலி so minimal compared to what is unknown, and death is the largest unknown for us. கண்டவர் விண்டிலர் விண்டவர் கண்டிலர்னால தெரிஞ்சுன்னு ஒருத்தர் சொல்ல போகிறதில்ல. அஃப்கோர்ஸ் தேர் ஆர் சர்டன் இன்ஸ்டன்சஸ் வேர் பீப்புள் சே தட் நான் போனேன் அங்கே ஒரு வெளிச்சமாக ஒன்று இருந்ததுன்னு, அதை பற்றியெல்லாம் கூட திஸ் புக் டெல்ஸ் அஸ். The death is something to be afraid of fetterலேருந்து I think this book will release us. And it's not very ரொம்ப டீப்பாக கடினமான லாங்குவேஜ். ஐ எம் நாட் கடினமான லாங்குவேஜ்னா இங்கிலீஷ் அல்லாததெல்லாம் கடினம்ங்கிறது சொல்லலை. இந்த லாங்குவேஜோட டென்சிட்டி கடினமாக இருந்ததுன்னா சரி போன்னு பயந்துண்டு எல்லாரும் வச்சுட்டு போகிறதுக்கு இருக்குது. இது ரொம்ப எளிமையான லாங்குவேஜ், ஈஸியாக படிக்கலாம். படித்த உடனே புரியுமான்னு சொல்ல முடியாது, பட் படிக்கலாம். படிச்சுட்டு அப்புறம் ரெண்டாவது தடவை படிக்கச்சு இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் வெளிச்சம் வரும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அப்புறம் போக போக we'll go again and again to the book, and then he even talks about those very famous atheists like Richard Dawkins, and says what is Dawkins really against when he says I mean he sometimes really makes fun. Dawkins பேசுறது கேட்டோன்னா he really makes fun of the idea of God, but most of them are talking of a personal God who gives judgment, which is the God that Dawkins knows. So if அதுலேருந்து வெளியில் வந்து காடுங்கிறதும் நானும் எனக்குள்ள காடு நான் காடுக்குள்ளங்கிற மாதிரி புரிஞ்சுனோன்னா டாக்கின்ஸுக்கு கூட அதில் ஆர்கியூ பண்ணுறதுக்கு எவ்வளவு இருக்கும்னு எனக்கு தெரியல. பட் he is a fantastically intelligent person, so I'm not willing to spar words with him because சில சமயத்தில் அப்படியே he cuts everything to pieces. Brilliant-ஆக தான் பேசுகிறார். But what the writer says is Dr. Richard Dawkins primarily is against the old church belief of a supreme God. And he also says that originally Bible-லையும் reincarnation மாதிரி the concept was there, and thereafter for various reasons it changed. நம்ம வந்து when we talk of the church and the state, church-னா I'm not talking about the Christian temple. When we say church and the state, we are talking really about religion and politics, religion and state. And when we say that the state should not interfere, அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்கிறோம், but very often the religion also interferes in the way it shapes our thoughts. Recently I read a book by Dr. Airavathi Karve, Yuganta, and she says the Krishna of Brindavan and the Krishna of Gita are not the same person. I mean, that is a viewpoint. How dare she say enla namba kekka kudadu. But she is making a point. She is saying this playful boy, he and adu rendum oru mari sync aliyenu she questions. So religion also shapes our thought in that sense. So எது எதோட interfere பண்ணுறதுன்னு நம்ம சொல்ல முடியாது. We can't always blame the state. So perhaps for political reasons the Bible was also touched, and whatever was not in alignment with their thought was removed, maybe. We don't know. And I mean, this is my humble opinion, that இந்த மாதிரி searching books should be encouraged. And if there is a thought or there are thoughts there which you find are new and probably startling, how dare he சொல்றதை விட why has he said that ன்னு நம்ம கேட்கணும். Today அந்த spirit I think இந்தியாவிலேயே குறைஞ்சுன்னு வருது. How dare they ask, how dare they say that அப்படிங்கிற attitude across the board இந்தியாவில் வருது. And we should realize questioning and challenging iconsல தான் நம்மளோட தாட்டே இருக்குது, நம்ம ஃபிலாசபியே அதில் தான் இருக்குது. ஸோ அதை டிஸ்ட்ராய் நம்ம பண்ணிட்டோம்னாக்கா something that is essentially in our thought history we are destroying. this is really a very very interesting book, and the Buddha, every day எந்த புத்தா வரார், அப்போ அதை பார்த்துட்டு எந்த பக்கம் நம்ம போகக்கூடாது, நம்ம போகணும். So for 7 or 8 days they will keep chanting to tell the soul, அந்த ப்ளூ கலரில் வரும், ஆனால் நீ அதை எடுத்துக்க கூடாது, இன்னொரு பாதால போகணும். They guide us through those 7 or 8 days. I forget the number of days. So it is necessary that one keeps chanting or something அப்படி போல் இருக்கு, because what the author is trying to tell us, it doesn't leave. அதனால தான் I think every religion has its period of mourning where people pray, and we don't know, because nobody who has experienced that is there to come and tell us. The Buddhist book tells us how at every day it helps us. So எப்படி ஹெல்ப் பண்ணோன்னு கேட்கலாம். ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுறதோ இல்லையோ, இட்ஸ் சம்படி டியர்லி பிலவ் டு அஸ், அதனால் நம்ம சொல்லிடலாமேன்னு சொல்லலாம். இட்ஸ் ரியலி அவர் சாய்ஸ். அண்ட் so ultimately the answer is, we don't really die. We need not worry too much about the loss of the body, and we can live it as best as we can. I really congratulate the author for this. I mean, I don't know whether ஒரு சென்ஸ் ஆஃப் செல்ஃப் இல்லாமல் தான் இந்த ஸ்டடியை பர்சியூ பண்ணியிருக்கார். அது ரொம்ப ரெமார்க்கபிளாக இருக்குது. எதையும் தேடி எந்த ஒரு ஆதாயத்தையும் எதிர்பார்க்கல. அவருக்கே அதை தேடணும்னு தோணித்து அந்த தேடலை அப்புறம் நமக்கு புக்காக கொடுத்து, இட்ஸ் ஃபார் அஸ் டு take advantage of his search and then embark on our own life's adventure with the help of this book. Thank you very much. I am deeply honored to be invited. Very nice.
Thank you, Justice Srimati Prabha Sridevan. Moving on, I would now like to introduce Professor Krishnamurthy Srinivas. Professor Krishnamurthy Srinivas is an eminent neurologist who is currently the Chairman Emeritus at the Institute of Neurological Sciences at the VHS Medical Center. A phenomenal icon of Indian neurology, he became an honorary member in the International Neuropsychiatry Association in India in the year 2006. He is the regional advisor in the Royal College of Physicians, Edinburgh, Scotland, in Tamil Nadu, as well as in fellow American Academy of Neurology Science. He was elected as the honorary member of the American Neurological Association in 2003 and American Academy of Neurology in 2005. His passion for updating his knowledge is almost an addiction for him and infectious for his students. His unique way of training undergraduates, freshers in non-teaching private institutions can match or even excel that of teaching academic institutions. The most important service to the world of neurology is the knowledge transfer that he organizes every year between the neurologists of various developed countries and India. More than 60 eminent neurologists from various countries have been invited to India, especially to Chennai, to participate and dissipate their expertise with our neurologists across the country. This was possible due to the meticulous planning of this master craftsman and leader, Professor Krishnamurthy Srinivas. A voracious reader with his wide collection of excellent books outside neurology, including Tattvaloka to a pictorial book on Rolls-Royce cars. With his innate humor, he will share his views and opinions about the world around us. I now request Suraj to honor Professor Krishnamurthy Srinivas. I now request Professor Krishnamurthy Srinivas to share a few words with us.
Dignitaries on the dais, distinguished members of the audience, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very important book because it talks about death. And among my clientele, 1/3 are senior citizens above the age of 75. And I interviewed 47 of them, and I published this in the Hindu. 67% of their children are abroad. They are lonely and depressed. They are alone. 5% are widows, 5% are widows, and 5% are single. So, in old age, as you get older, you're worried about the health conditions. For example, I am 83. I am slow downstairs, but I am perfectly normal upstairs. I find it difficult to walk, but I work the whole day. Only thing is, the biggest danger of difficulty in walking is falling and breaking a bone. So one has to be very careful. Regarding death, I learnt about this not from this country alone, but from various sources. One of them being my father, who was a very good Sanskrit scholar and a distinguished civil servant. Second was my contact with William Osler's generation in United States, UK, and European countries. William Osler was the greatest physician the world produced in the last 100 years. And the Oslerian tradition is now almost universal. He used to sit by the side of a patient who is dying, console his family, and left only after the person died, and came back the next day to visit the family. That made him world famous. The two things certain in life are birth and death. And I must congratulate the Viswanathan family, and in particular Mr. Viswanathan, for writing this book about the way we look at death in this country. Because another great foreigner, Max Muller, wrote a book called What India Can Teach Us. And that book has been abridged by one Mr. Nair and has been republished. And the first page tells you why India is a famous country for 27 languages, 8 religions, and 650 dialects. So I think this is a very good book, and people like us, like me, who see death very often and disability, found it very important to read through the culture of the book, the most important message being that the soul persists but the body dies. All I can say is that Winston Churchill said writing a book was an adventure. First it was a toy, then a master, then a mistress, and finally a tyrant. So Viswanathan should be congratulated because he told me he's into another book. The other thing about death is that most people are not afraid of death at all. In this country I found that, especially in the south, people don't mind dying, but they don't want to be disabled. They don't want to be bedridden. They don't want to be dependent on others. But that is not in our hands. That is beyond us. Finally, I want to mention two things. One is, I had 2 patients who were completely cured in Tirupati. One was a lady who had shaking of the head. And I showed her to David Marsden, the #1 authority on the subject, and he said, I can't help her. She had hereditary rights to ride the elephant in Tirupati, so she went and rode the elephant. And on the 7th day she rang me and told me she is completely cured. When she came back, we took another movie of her neck movement, And when David Marsden went back, he won every prize in the world except the Nobel Prize. He wrote to me and said, only India can achieve this. We can't do it. It's a real wonder that she's completely cured. The other was a girl from Nellore who was completely paralyzed below the waist. She's a very poor farmer's daughter who came to VHS. And I told her father that it may be difficult to treat her fully. So after about 3 weeks, I sent her home. I became national professor at Tirupati at the Sri Venkateswara University, and I accepted that because of the temple. And when one of my visits to teach the students, suddenly a girl came running and fell at my feet. And she said, I am your patient. Then I remembered this was this girl who was completely paralyzed. And she got up and she said, I'm perfectly normal now. I said, how did that happen? She said, I prayed for 1 whole year in this temple. I didn't go home. And suddenly one morning when I got up, I found I could walk. So that is the reason why India is very famous, because of these miracles that happen. And finally, the average villager is very intelligent in this country. He'll say, and the doctor nalla படிச்சிருக்காரு, நிறைய டிகிரி வச்சிருக்காரு, ஆனா குரங்கு மாதிரி பேசுறாரு. The other thing is that I told a patient, பெரிய டாக்டர் வந்திருக்கார் வெளியூர்லேருந்து, நீ என்ன காரியம்னு சொல்லி, he said, என்ன பெரிய டாக்டர், நாளைக்கு ஊருக்கு போயிடுவேன், நீ தானே எனக்கு டாக்டர். So that is the reason why in India talk, tact and treatment, talking to a person in a tactful way is part of treatment, not medicine alone. So I'd like to thank the Viswanathan family for inviting me and including me in your guest role, and I'm very happy that I'm here. My father was Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Mr. Munshi was his boss, and I joined the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan long ago, and now I continue to be a member, so I'm very familiar with this organization, and I get the Bhavan's journal very regularly. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Krishnamurthy Srinivas. Introducing our next dignitary for the day.
Just 1 minute. I want to present to the Viswanathan family William Osler's famous article on the philosophy of death. It's a very important article. It's the way he looked at death, because he lost his only son in the Second World War. And he continued to remember that, and when he was Regius Professor of Medicine at Oxford, he wrote this article. So I'd like you to give a copy of this to you. Please give it to your father. Thank you.
That was a very kind gesture. Thank you so much. Moving on to our next dignitary, Professor R. Thandavan. Professor R. Thandavan is the former Vice Chancellor of University of Madras. Dr. R. Thandavan obtained his PhD degree in 1983 in the Department of Politics and Public Administration, University of Madras, under Faculty Improvement Program. He is the recipient of the award of the Fellowship of Tamil Nadu Academy of Political Science. Dr. R. Thandavan started his career as a college teacher and had collegiate experience for a decade. He continued his career at the University of Madras till his retirement in 2010. He had gained 40 years of research experience. For nearly 4 decades, he had been in the field of administration, to start with as the head of the department, then as a Senate member of the University of Madras and Madurai Kamaraja University. Let me do it for you, sir.
No problem. No problem. I will take care of myself, don't worry.
We'll have to honor you, sir, before
No,
that.
please. That I will accept.
Sure. I'll again have to request Suraj Viswanathan to come onto the stage and honor Professor R. Thandavan. now request Professor R. Tandavan to share a few words with us, which he's eagerly awaiting to do so.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். Most respected, revered, Honorable Justice Srimati Prabha Sridevan, most respected, revered, a celebrity civil servant, Dr. Krishnamurti Srinivas, most respected, revered, Dr. Kalyan Arun, most respected, revered, Thiru Suraj Viswanathan, Madam Purna Swaraj, the author of the book, hero of this function, my good friend Sri Viswanathan, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to all of you. Friends, I had a honor to give a foreword to this book when I was in the active service of Vice Chancellor Madras University. Rightly pointed out by earlier speakers. When I go through this book, madam, first, second, third, 3 chapters, very readable. I am fine with the language, but I can't understand what he tried to say. Then I requested Dr. Raghavan, perhaps doctor may know, he was a professor of Sanskrit. He became professor head of department of Vaishnavism at the University of Madras. He helped me academically for more than 40 years in the University of Madras. I became a popular figure as an editor of the international journal, 3-4 journals. The credit, real credit goes to Dr. Raghavan. I requested him, can you go over to the university? Because at that time, you know, the Vice Chancellor Madras University, you can't find time. He said, yes, I will come. He is around 75 or so. He came. I requested him to go through this book, help me to write a foreword. He said that I will take it home. Tomorrow I will come and meet you. He came back. My problem of writing foreword, not more than 2 paragraphs. Dr. Raghavan problem, writing forward, he is writing another book like this. And then he was saying about Vedic period, Vedic literature, so many things. And then he confidently said that, talking to each other by half an hour or so about the subject. Now he said that, now you go, read this book, you can write your forward. I have written, I sent the mail, he corrected, just very small forward only in the book. This one incident I would like to narrate. I am so happy to associate myself in this function. Because sharing a dais with Madam Justice, it's a great honor for me. As a faculty Madras University, I am nothing to do with the judiciary, but we have a international law department in the University of Madras. But I closely follow the judgment of various judges in the Madras High Court and Supreme Court. At that time, madam, not flattering, I was your fan. And then, participating a book release function as a teacher, it is my bounden duty. That too, Sri Viswanathan, alumni of Madras University through Loyola College, and then he has gone to US for his MBA PG program. He was also teaching in the American universities. So as a colleague, it is my bounden duty. Friends, a week back, my eldest brother, who is in the village nearby Jawad Hills, the eldest brother is like a father to me. அவர் விவசாய வேலைகள்லாம் அவர் தான் செய்வார் எங்கள் அப்பாவோட. நாங்கள் 9th இஷ்யூ, நான் 9வது பிறப்பு. எங்கள் பின்னாடி இருந்தவங்க அத்தனை பேரும் படிக்க வச்சது எங்கள் அண்ணன் தான், எங்கள் அப்பா இல்லை. தட் இஸ் அவர் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப். He died, Viswanathan. I told you through phone. I was in my village. My cell mobile will not work out. 2 days back, I came to Chennai. I called Viswanathan. I said that I am sorry, and definitely I am attending. Emotionally attached to my elder brother. He died at the age of 96. I am 66 now. வில்லேஜில் இருக்க என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, அதெல்லாம் உங்கள் அண்ணன் விட்டு எங்கேயும் வெளியே போகலப்பா, உன்னோட தான்ப்பா இருக்காருன்னுவாங்க. அதுதான் அந்த புக்கு. ஊரில் பெரியவங்க வில்லேஜில் ஏன் நீ இவ்வளோ வருத்தப்படுற, ஏன்னா அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு வைஸ் சான்ஸாக இருந்தவன், 40 வருஷம் மெட்ராஸ் யூனிவர்சிட்டி இருந்தவன், ஒரு அண்ணனுக்காக தேம்பி இந்த வயசில் அழறானன்றது அவங்களால அது ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு இதாக இருக்குது. எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா 2 பேருமே தவறிட்டாங்க. எல்லாருமே 100 வயசு இருந்தாங்க. நானும் இருப்பேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அந்த அவங்க வயசானவங்க, இல்லைப்பா உங்கள் அண்ணன் ஒன்று விட்டு எங்கேயும் போகல, உன்னோட தான் இருக்கார். அந்த கான்டெஸ்ட்டில் இதை படிக்கும்போது எனக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமாக இருந்தது. ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ், one great thing about Viswanathan, writing this book, one need a thorough understanding with Vedic literature, master over the Sanskrit language. I can understand as a third person. Madam, I am not going to talk about politics with your permission. When I received a order as an appointment order as a Vice Chancellor Madras University, I met Madam Jayalalitha. I know her personally. அந்த 2 கையை அப்படி தலையில் வச்சுட்டு சான்ஸ்கிரிட் ஸ்லோகனில் சொன்னாங்க. டாக்டர் மதுரை வீரன், மை கலீக் இன் த யூனிவர்சிட்டி ஆஃப் மெட்ராஸ், he has come to attend this marriage. He was Rajiv Gandhi Professor Chair and Head of Department in the Rajiv Gandhi Studies in the University of Madras, a senior professor. ஒரு 2 minutes வீடியோவில் ரெக்கார்ட் ஆகிருக்கு. சான்ஸ்கிரிட்டில் அவங்க சொல்லி என்னை வாழ்த்தும்போது என்ன சொன்னாங்கன்னு தெரியல, ஆனால் ரொம்ப அழகாக இருந்தது அந்த லாங்குவேஜ். எனக்கு சான்ஸ்கிரிட் தெரியாதுங்க, தமிழ் இங்கிலீஷ் 2 தான் தெரியும். அது 2மே அரைகுறையாக தான் தெரியும், முழுசாக தெரியும்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. What I tried to say, the amount of respect he has towards our Indian philosophy, Indian culture, tradition, this book says. Thanks to Viswanathan. And then I raised this question, why he has done this? The answer is, we are all here in Tamil Nadu Indian society. We can't understand our Hindu culture, tradition. By and large, most of us are not respecting our tradition and Hindu culture. The answer is, all of us should go to America or some other foreign countries like Viswanathan to understand our culture. Perhaps Viswanathan is here in Chennai, he might not have this kind of a knowledge in the subject and attempted to write a book on this. Thank you profusely, thank our good friend Viswanathan for writing this book. It's really, as Madam Justice said, a new angle. Friends, while discussing about death, Madam has connected science, medicine, everything to this. There are many chapters. He has directly connected the medicine, medical field. Directly a scientific approach to this. He has quoted Vedic literature as good as Vedic literature. I requested Madam not to say much about me because a former Vice Chancellor Madras University will be more than my biodata. Became a Vice Chancellor, it's a great thing. Vice Chancellor Madras University, one term of 3 years. That is more than enough. But I owe all my position to my parents, my elder brother. கஷ்டம்னா என்னான்னு தெரிஞ்சு என்னை வளர்த்தார் எங்கள் அண்ணன். எல்லா விவசாய வேலையும் செய்திருக்கேன். ஜவ்வாது மல்லாடி ஓரத்தில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு ட்ரைபல். எஸ்எல்சி வரலும் தமிழ் மீடியம். இப்போ தான் ப்ரீ ஸ்கூல்லாம் நிறைய கட்டாங்க. இப்போல்லாம் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது. ப்ரீ ஸ்கூல் அந்த எல்கேஜி யூகேஜி வாங்குறதே கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது. அப்போல்லாம் அதில் கான்செப்ட் கிடையாது. எங்கள் நான் ஒரு மலாடிவாரன்னு சொல்லலைங்களா, அங்கே ஸ்கூல் கிடையாது. ஒரு 3 கிலோமீட்டர் போனால் தான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் டு 5th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட். 6 கிலோமீட்டர் போனால் தான் 6th 7th 8th. 10 கிலோமீட்டர் போலூர், ஏ ஸ்மால் டவுன் பிட்வீன் திருவண்ணாமலை அண்டு வேலூர். அங்கே போனால் தான் 9th 10th எஸ்எல்சி. நான் பச்சைபாஸ் காலேஜ் வந்து சேர்ற வரையில் எனக்கு ட்ரெஸ்ஸுனால் என்னன்னு தெரியாது. செப்பல் பார்த்தே கிடையாது, கேள்விப்பட்டதே கிடையாது. காலனின்னு ஒன்று இருக்குதுன்றது தெரியாது. இப்போ எங்கள் வில்லேஜுக்கு போனாக்கா நான் வந்து அந்த போலூர் போகும்போதே காரில் எல்லாத்தையும் செப்பலாக வச்சுருவேன். வேஷ்டி சட்டை தான் கட்டி போவேன். வயலில் போகும்போது செருப்பில் போட்டு போக மாட்டேன். ஆனால் வில்லேஜில் வயலில் வேலை செய்கிறவங்க செப்பல் போட்டு தான் வயலுக்கு போகிறாங்க. அவ்வளோ முன்னுக்கு வந்துட்டாங்க. இல்லை அந்த அளவுக்கு கடுமையான ஒரு இப்போ நான் வந்து ஒரு 3 பிரதர்ஸ் நாங்கள் மதுரை எனக்கு தெரியும். பச்சைபாஸ் காலேஜ் படிக்கும்போது ஹாஸ்டல் பில்லும் மற்ற சில புக்ஸ் எல்லாம் வாங்குறதுக்கு 300 ரூபா மாதம். அந்த நெல் மண்டிகிட்ட போய் உட்காந்துருப்பார். கடைசி பஸ் 5 மணிக்கு போலூர் டு சென்னை. அதான் டேரெக்டாக பூந்தமல்லி வழியாக பச்சைபாஸ் காலேஜ் வழியாக போகும். வேறு எது போனாலும் பாரிஸ் போய் தான் வரணும். சின்ன வயசு விட மாட்டாங்க. இந்த பஸ்ஸை மிஸ் பண்ணிவிடுவோம். 300 ரூபா பாக்கெட்டில் இருக்கும். சாரி, கொஞ்சம் உங்களை டிவேட் எடுத்து போகிறேன். என்னை பற்றி நான் சொல்கிறேன்னு சொன்னேன். இதுதான் முக்கியமானது. அது இது படித்தேன் போனேன் டீச் பண்ணுறதுலாம் முக்கியம் கிடையாது. அங்கே அந்த பஸ்ஸு போயிட்ட பிறகு வேலூருக்கு ஒரு பஸ்ஸு பிடிச்சி போயிட்டு வேலூர்லேருந்து காட்பாடிக்கு நடந்து போயிட்டு அந்த ஒரு தூங்காமல் அந்த காட்பாடி ரயில்வே ஸ்டேஷன்லேயே இருந்துட்டு விடியால 4 மணி 5 மணிக்கு ஒரு ட்ரெயின், சில ட்ரெயின் வரும், வெளியூர் ட்ரெயின். அதில் நிற்கிறது கூட இடம் இருக்காது. நேராக சென்ட்ரல் வந்து இறங்கி சென்ட்ரல்லேருந்து அம்ஜிக்கு இறங்கி நடந்தே பச்சைபாஸ் காலேஜ் வருவோம். இது கஷ்டம், அது கஷ்டம் இல்லைங்க. இந்த 300 ரூபாயை நாம் தொலைக்காமல் எடுத்து போகணும், அதான் கஷ்டம். ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ், திஸ் டைட் ஆஃப் ஒரு எனக்கு இந்த சூழ்நிலை வளர்த்ததால் தான் நான் இந்த அளவுக்கு மேலே வந்திருக்கேன்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். இது ஆல்மோஸ்ட் நான் 127 காலேஜஸ் போயிருக்கேன். எல்லா டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டும் போகும்போது இதை நான் சொல்லியிருக்கேன் மாணவர்களுக்கு. ஏன்னா இப்போ வந்து ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்லாம் அது வந்து கஷ்டம் என்னே தெரிய மாட்டேங்குது. அவங்க வேறு ஏதோ போகிறாங்க. விஸ்வநாதன் வர்றது என்னன்னா, இவர் கொஞ்சம் அர்பனைட், சிட்டியில் பிறந்து வளர்ந்துருக்காரு. இங்கே லயோலா காலேஜில் படிச்சிருக்காரு, யூஎஸில் போய் படிச்சிருக்காரு. இந்த இதெல்லாம் தெரியாது. இருந்தாலும் கூட அவர் வந்து இந்த நம்ம இந்திய நாட்டு கலாச்சாரம் பண்பாட்டில் இவ்வளோ அவர் மனசை லயிச்சு எழுதியிருக்காருன்னா அது ரொம்ப பெருமையாக இருக்குது. எனக்கு இந்த சூழ்நிலையில் இதனால் எனக்கு இந்த கலாச்சாரத்தை பற்றி எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சது. கஷ்டம் நஷ்டம், 1 ரூபாய்க்கு எவ்வளோ கஷ்டப்படணும்னு எனக்கு தெரியும். நான் தெரியறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இல்லைன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ், human knowledge is hardly capable of answering all the problem that life foreshadows, of which death and rebirth are more important. Death is separation of the soul from a physical body. Death becomes the starting point of a new life. Death is not the end of life. Life is one that continues, never-ending process. Death is only passing and necessary phenomenon. which every soul has to pass through to gain experience for its further evolution. Every soul is a circle. The circumstances of this circle is nowhere, but its center is in the body. Death means the change of this center from body to body. The Supreme Soul or Paramatma is deathless, decayless, timeless, causeless and spaceless. It is the source and substratum for this body, mind and the whole world. Death is for the physical body only, which is a compound of multiple elements. Death is not the end of life. It is merely cessation of an important individuality. Life flow on achieving its consequent of the universal. Life flow on its merger with eternal. The doctrine of cause and effect and the consequent inevitability of reincarnation has been the very bedrock of the Hindu philosophy. Rebirth is the life sustaining force. Even from the worldly point of view, so many dreams and so many earthly sought after ambitions remain unfulfilled. Youth gradually decay into the old age and infirmity, and the ember of the elusive hope to get dimmer and weaker. But its fame is the kept up flickering by the remote expectations that perhaps in the other birth those dreams might be fulfilled. So even from this point of view, rebirth is indeed a gentle consolation and a solution of life. There is another school of thought who believes that the sledgehammer of death puts an final end to the life. The body and the soul having passed out into the element into the ultimate oblivion. This convenient belief is very appealing to some intellectual sophist, but such be the case, then what is to account for the spirit and the unbelievable experience at a scene? Hence, the life after death cannot be ruled out. Now, let us take into consideration as to what should be the attitude of spiritual aspirant. Sri Viswanathan draws to provide a detailed map after the life. He reflects his present brief level of knowledge and awareness of the concept. He can visualize what happens after you die. This is the book which identifies that we are spiritually being having human experience. If you start writing this book, you should have a faith in this book, the philosophy. Unless or until you have a faith in this philosophy, you cannot understand. Or you need, like my Dr. Raghavan. I have some other reason. I will reveal it in another occasion. I congratulate Viswanathan for bringing this book in the wonderful way. Congratulations, best way to our Sri Viswanathan, and also thanks to his family members for helping him, be with him for throughout. Because as Sir said, on a certain part of life, our children will leave parents. Now, even the family members are with Sri Viswanathan. I thank them profusely for helping him. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Professor R. Thandavan. Moving on, a brief introduction of Professor Kalyan Arun. Professor Kalyan Arun has been a journalist for more than 35 years with experience in both print and television media. He has held a very senior editorial post in news organizations like Indian Express, the New Indian Express, Business India Television, and The Sunday. He has reported for international news agencies like Associated Press and Agence France Presse, and has also been Tamil Nadu correspondent for publications like Khalij Times in Dubai, Arab News, and Gulf News. He has also been a journalism trainer, teaching in premier institutions like University of Madras, Women's Christian College as well, MOP Vaishnav College, and Madras Christian College as a part-time faculty at different times during the last 25 years. He is currently a professor in Asian College of Journalism, heading the new media stream. Professor Kalyan Arun will now be honored by Suraj Viswanathan.